This is the first look behind the scenes of our channel. Welcome to the shop. This is where we keep most of our raw materials. We got a lot of big stuff, a lot of small stuff, most of which was locally sourced here in Oregon. We got some moss agate we're gonna be working on. We got some jaspers that we can work on. We got some really big agate material. And yeah, pretty much everything in between. A lot of agates. This is the stuff we're currently working on though. We're working on making some pendants out of this crazy lace agate. We're working down some of this amethyst, some of this TNT thunder egg, and we're gonna make a display piece out of this tube agate. It's got a nice little hole down the middle. So you might be wondering, how do you go from a big chunk of material like this into something workable to make a pendant or a piece of jewelry? Well, let me show you. We start with like a stone like this, and we bring it over here to our slabbing saw. In here, you have a wooden vise, which you'll take your stone and you'll set it inside and you'll crank it down to make it nice and tight with no wobbles. Once it's all secured, you lock the drive into place, you close it up, you fire up the saw, and then you fire up the feed and you send it down the aisle. The result of that is gonna be something that looks like this. You get a nice, clean slice off of your host material. This is much more workable and usable than something like this. So once you have a slice of material similar to this, you kind of want to decide where it is you want to cut out of to make your pendants and make your pieces of jewelry. I've already done so, and the way I do that is I use my little stencil piece right here, and then you just pick out a shape and a size that you want to work down, and you set it up next to your stone to try to get yourself a window view of what the pendant or the piece of jewelry is going to look like. I've already done that with my material, and I already have some pieces lined out. And once you have your stencils all drawn out, next thing would be take it over to the trim saw, start cutting out the individual pieces. Real big shout out to Sweet Gum NYC for his 3D print design of this Lapidary trim saw. My friend actually ended up 3D printing the whole thing. He installed a CNC motor and a power supply, wired it all up, and then attached a lapidary blade to the end with a little collet. Really cost efficient because some of those trim saws can run up to like $500 to $1,000. Now that we've gone from this to this, we can do some of our more refined shaping on our grinding mills. We're gonna start with the 60 grit. It's gonna be able to pull off a lot of material quickly. And this is really good for taking down these sharp corners and rounding everything out, and also getting a nice, smooth, level surface on the face of our piece. So roughly, this is what your piece is gonna look like before the grinding wheel, and this is what it's gonna look like after you get a nice rough shape to the piece you wanna make. At this point, I'm gonna take it over to the Dremel and drill a hole through the top so we can attach our pin bail to it. The reason I don't wanna go through and do the full polishing process before I drill the hole is because after I've spent hours polishing a piece, I went to go make that hole to attach my bail, and the piece just shatters on me, and that's just hours of time wasted. So now it's time for the dremeling process. The first thing I do is I'll take my piece and I'll mark it with a Sharpie right on dead center where it is I want to drill. You want to make sure you're definitely right in the center, otherwise your bail is going to be sitting off kilter. So after I make my mark, the second thing I'll do is I'll drill a hole, a pilot hole, with my ball-tipped Dremel bit. And this is really going to help with keeping your next bit nice and centered and from bouncing around, and you get a nice, clean, straight cut. This is a 1 millimeter, and you want to go roughly about 1/4 inch or so your pin in your bail has something to mount to. So after you've got done sweating bullets and drilling out your piece, and you got lucky and it didn't explode on you, now we can go back to the final step and finishing our piece. We first will start with the second wheel in line to get the more smooth, refined shaping done and get rid of all these corners and edges and give it that nice rounded look. After that, you come through with your wheels, and this is what's going to start taking out all the major scratching and give you that nice finish. So after you have your piece all shaped and polished down, the next thing I'll do is I'll take this piece home where I have all my jewelry making equipment. I'll set my pin bail inside the hole, and then I'll attach the chain. And that's pretty much it. And that wraps up all the tools that we use in the shop to make our pendants and jewelry, except for our newest toy, the Richardson Wrench high-speed sander. So all the equipment we've been looking at so far has been mostly to make small, intricate pieces. But with this high-speed sander, it's gonna allow us to take large rocks, cut them down, and then sand the surfaces to make nice, big display pieces. Alright guys, well that's the shop tour and the process of what we do here. We're a new starting up small YouTube channel. We post every Tuesday and Friday, and we'd really appreciate your support with a like, comment, or subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Until the next one. High-speed sander.